Okay, all right. Welcome back to the third installment of our summer lesson series, where we're talking about statistics, mean, median, and mode. All right, mostly. All right, and range, actually. I should add range. So now let's take a look at the definition of statistics. All right, here it says statistics is the practice or science of collecting and analyzing numerical data in large quantities. Okay, so one of the first things is numerical data. Right? We're not collecting anything else. We're talking about things that can be measured. All right, right. So that's science, right? That's where the word science comes from. It has to be measured. All right, a lot of it or very little of it. All right, and especially for the purpose of inferring proportions in a whole from those in a representative sample. So this is a little bit too complicated, I think, even for a seventh grader. Now I know we talked about the word proportions, but to infer proportions, okay, we'll leave that alone for now. In a whole from those in a representative sample. So what it's saying is this. This is huge. All right. So this is called sampling. So in other words, right? Let's say so think about when people do surveys, right? What's the purpose of a survey? Because you can make an argument, not a very good one, but you can make an argument saying that, well, okay, so you surveyed 100 people, right, in the seventh grade on what their favorite ice cream flavor is, something like that. But you can say, hey, look, there are actually 300 seventh graders total in the seventh grade. So asking 100 people what their favorite ice cream flavor is not the most accurate thing. All right. In other words, you're saying, hey, I think you could do better than that. And the counter now that in some way that's a perfectly valid argument, right? Because the more students, the more classmates you survey about their favorite ice cream flavor, the more accurate that's going to be. But at some point, there's going to be a cost. And what's the cost? Well, what happens if you want to ask or 1,200 people in the school what their favorite ice cream flavors? Like that becomes very, very difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because like now you have like so you're gonna like interview all 1,200 people, right? It takes a long time to do, and at some point the cost. That's cost. That's a C. Cost outweighs the benefit. All right. Yeah, you want it to be accurate, but it's going to cost you a lot of time and maybe effort, right, to complete this survey. So sampling is, hey, is there a set of rules that we can follow where we could sample or just survey 100 people, but when we follow this set of rules and we interview these 100 people, that it will give us a very, very accurate estimate, right? Because it won't be exact. A very, very accurate estimate of what it would be like if we were to interview or survey 1,200 people instead. So that's what statistics essentially is. It's how to use the correct method or methodology. All right, and the various different types of methodology to draw a conclusion about a population. Okay, and the population means like the group. So in this case, our population at MS51 would be 1,200. That's the population, right? That's how many people are there. So again, is it possible to survey 100 people and using the correct methods, we could make some sort of conclusions about the preference for ice cream flavors for the entire school? All right, so that's what statistics. One of the aspects of statistics. That's what this is. All right, so what are some of the tools that we use? So in the 6th and 7th grade, you're going to talk about the mean, median, mode, and range, and this is today's lesson. All right, these are called the measures of central tendency, which is Where do the numbers lie if we are talking about the middle? Okay. Standard deviation, that's a high school topic, all right, college topic. Correlation, variance, and factor analysis. Okay, all right, we won't get to those. All right, these you won't get to till high school. No, actually, no, college. Okay, so let's talk about what we are talking about today. All right, so statistics. How do we tell a story? Okay, so what's the mean? Mean, there's also another name for the word mean. All right, it's called average. How do you find the average? So let's say, let me give you an example. All right, let's see if I can separate this. Yeah, I could. Okay, perfect. So let's say we have a list of data. And the data is, let's say this is a test scores, right? Test scores. Let's say you took 5 tests, right? You got a 90, 88. All right, you got a 98. You got a 77, all right, and a 100. All right, so these are your last 5, all right, or maybe your only 5 test scores from this year, all right, or from the marking period. So what's average? To calculate the average, you might want to write this down. To calculate the average, you would have to add these 5 numbers up. Now, this is why you really need a calculator. Like, I mean, do not do this, by hand, all right? Use a calculator. Then, again, you add all 5 scores up. Now, what would that give you? So here, let me use my calculator for that. 90 plus 88 plus 98 plus 77 plus 100, that's 453. By the way, if you want to follow along when I'm doing this, you absolutely should. Okay? All right. So once we get that number, we are going to divide that number by 5. Why? Because you took 5 exams, right? By the number of numbers, amount of numbers. There are 5 exams, so we're going to divide it by 5. Now, if we divide it by 5, that give us an average of 90.6. So that means, right, your average is 90.6. Now, think about this for a second. What does that even mean? All right, because one of the things that you guys need to learn is not just what something is, but why and what it means. So what does 90.6 means? 90.6 means, right, to evaluate you numerically as a student in class. Your average of 90.6 means that if you were to take a test, right, every time, we are safe to assume that your grade will be somewhere around a 91 every time you take an exam. So, and that will kind of evaluate how much material you've learned in that class, right? Because if your average, it's around a 65, I think you can say that this person is doing better in math class than this person, right? The person is learning more. The person is understanding more of the materials in math class, right, than the person whose average is a 65, right? Now, let's go over the last 3, and then I'll tell you why there needs to be 4 different methods when we are calculating the measures of central tendency. Okay, where is it again? Yeah, the measures of central tendency. Okay, all right, okay. Median. Median's the middle number, but you can't just look at this and say, oh yeah, there's the middle number. No, 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 no. You have to order the numbers first in some sort of order. So let me use a different color. So you have to order these numbers first. So I'm going to go from the smallest and then largest. So there are 5 numbers. Smallest is 77. Notice how I cross the number out, right? Because I don't want to double count a number. That's not good. And then I'm going to calculate, no, the one after that's 88. 90. 98. So what's the median? 90. 90 is the median. That's the middle number. Now, what's the mode? It's the number that happens to occur the most. Now, I should have thought about that because I don't have a number that's repeating. But that's fine. So let's say, right, let's say if there's another score here that's 90, like a 90, 90, 88, so on and so forth. The mode would be 90, okay? The number that occurs the most. Now, the question is then, if there is no mode, right? Because there's not a single number that occurs the most, right? Because they all happen only once. What's the mode? A lot of people in the past, they put zero mode. No. No, zero is not the mode, because if zero was the mode, that means the person got like a bunch of zeros. And that's not true. The person never got a zero on a test. What you should say is that there's no mode. Okay, got that? There's no mode. Like, you literally have to say that to the person. There's no mode. All right. Now, what's the range? The range is the distance between the largest and the smallest number, meaning taking the biggest number, subtracting the smallest number from that. So in other words, you have 100 minus 77. All right, and what does that tell you? That should be 23. That's the range. Okay, so now, what's the difference between each of these numbers? Okay, so to do that, I'm gonna have to erase this. So now we're talking about why. Like, why do we have so many different methods? So the reason why we have so many different methods is one, mean, right? So let's say, right, instead of taking 5 exams, the person took a 6 exam, and the person got a 0. All right. Now, maybe the person just had a bad day, right? You know, things like that. Sometimes it happens. Almost never happens, actually. Like, no one ever gets that average and all of a sudden comes up with a 0. Maybe a 40, something like that, right? But I want to make this example very extreme. So now, previously, the person's average was a 90.6, right? But watch this. If you average in the 0, meaning 90 plus 88 plus 98 plus 77 plus 100 plus 0, and then divided by 6, right? Because now there's 6 quizzes or exams. The person's average is now a 75.5. Quite a difference, don't you think? Right? It's basically a 15-point difference. And so now, is this number representative of the person's work over the course of the year? Now, some of you might say, you know what, if the person got a 0, you have to count that, you know, only to be fair. I think many of you might say, right, no, that's not fair, because the person had a really bad day. I think, you know, you should just not count this. But you kind of appreciate the difference, right? That if you have one score like this, by the way, there's a name for that. This is called an outlier. So this is called an outlier, meaning like it's so off to the side, right? Because 0 is here, and then the rest of the numbers are here. Like, they're closely grouped together, right? Like, so for example, if you draw a number line from 0 to 100, like, almost all of this person's exams are on the right side of the number line, and this person's all the way, and this last test is all the way on the left side of the number line. You see what I'm saying? So like, it's lying out there, right? It's sitting out there. That's called an outlier. So is this a very good representation of the person's work in math? Probably not. So this is where median comes in, right? Think about that. So if you say now that, well, instead of using the mean, why don't I just take the middle score? Well, that would be the median. Now, is this score close to what the person originally was getting? Yeah, look, this is 90, this is 90.6. So sometimes the median is a better number to use, okay? Sometimes the mean is a better number to use. It depends on the situation, largely, all right? Mode, the number occurs the most, you almost never see a person using the mode to determine a grade. Okay, now range doesn't really have to do with these 3, but what it's telling you is what's how do I say this? How I was gonna use the word volatile, but I'm not sure if that's an accurate way to say it. What's the how widely does the person's grade vary? Okay, so in this case, the person's grade vary from 100 to 77, which gave us a range of 23. However, if you take someone's score with the one with a 0, what's the range now? 100 minus 0, it's 100, right? That's a huge difference, right? So you're basically saying the person has gotten a 0 and the person has gotten 100. Okay, so it's a huge range. So that might limit the, how do I say it? That might limit the accuracy of these numbers here, mean, median, mode. That might undermine those methods. So not that you would want this, but normally, all right, a smaller range, how do I say this? Let me press pause and think about this. Okay, all right, I just thought about this. The smaller range would tell you that the variations in the person's grades are not that large. Okay, so for example, now the range, it doesn't have to be 100, right? So what happens if the person has a 77, 78, and like an 82, right? Like all their grades are somewhere in the middle. What's the range? 82 minus 78, right? It's 4. It doesn't tell you anything about the person's work over the course of the year, but it tells you how much their grades go up and down, right? Because looking at this example, the person had a 0 and then got 100, so the grades are like really almost like roller coaster like, right? This one, you know, there's some variation, right? Like the lowest score was a 77, highest grade was 100, right? And this one, almost no variation. The person's grade is consistently somewhere in the middle, in the high 70s and low 80s. So that's what a range does. Okay, so let's see. Now, with that said, I want to point one more thing out to you. In the event that there are two medians, right? So let's say, let's use this as an example. Now, what should I do here? No, I should just keep going. All right, so in the event there's two medians, right? Because now we have a 6 score. Let's say I put a 0 here. All right, I'll just use what I've used before. Let's say there's a 0 here. Now look what happens. If you have an even number of numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The question is, well, you don't even have a middle number anymore. Do you realize that, right? Well, we only have 5 tests. There's a number in the middle, right? 2 on one side, 2 on the other. That makes the one in the middle, that makes the third number in the middle, right? Look at this. There's 6. So who's the median? There's 2. Now, if you have an even number of numbers, the middle 2 numbers forms the median, but that's not good enough. You have to add them and then divide it by 2. Meaning, you're taking the average of the 2 medians. Do you guys understand? Right? Like you can't have 2 numbers as the median. So what's the solution? You add them and divide it by 2. You take the average of the 2 medians. That would give you an 89. Okay? So when that comes up, be careful. Okay? All right. Let's get some practice in. All right. Hopefully this video won't be too long. All right. It's gonna be just as long as all the other ones. Let's see. Okay. All right. You know what we're gonna do? Now, this is great because now we can use the calculators. All right. So here's what you're gonna do. Go ahead, find a mean for all these examples. All right. When you come back, I'll have the answer key for you. Okay. So let's do that. All right. Press pause. All right. So this is the answer key. Now, you know, I realized that I had the answer key previously made. All right, so this is what I got. Hopefully I'm not wrong, because that would be pretty embarrassing. Nope, I'm all correct. All right, so there's the answer key. Okay, so all right, so press pause to check your answers, and I'm gonna move on. All right, next one. All right, find the median. Now, this is actually going to take a little bit of work because you have to order the numbers from least to greatest. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to do one example with you where they're an even number of numbers, which means we're going to get two medians. All right, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nope, there's a middle number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, I think all of these are odd numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, all right, there we go. Let's use this one. So let me order them from least to greatest. Again, here's what you should do. You should look for the smallest number and the largest number, write them out, and then cross them out. Okay, so what's the smallest number here? It's 12. What's the largest number? 88. All right, what's the next smallest number? 12. I'm just going to scan. Yep, I think it's 27. Where's the next smaller number? Next largest number? Is it 50? No, 66. Now, you see how crossing out helps? I think it's 35.4. 42.4. I'm going to run out of space. 45.54. All right, just made it. All right, now let me see. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, good. Now, the two middle numbers are these two. So what I'm going to do now is to average these two. So 42, so that's 0.4. That's 87.4, am I right? Yeah, divided by 2, what would that be? That's 2, 4 is 8, 2, 3 is 6, 2, 7 is 14, right? Yeah. Okay, all right, so go ahead. That's how you would do it, all right? You would get your two medians there. All right, so press pause right now. Do 1, 2, 3, and 5. All right, when you come back, I'll show you the answer key. So press pause right now. Okay, and here's the answer key. All right, there we go. All right, I was correct. Good. So check your answers, and then let's do two more, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, all right, here we go. Now what? Is it mode? Oh, mode is super duper easy, right? I mean, well, could be. Oh, one more thing. Let's say, right? Remember the first example? I showed you that there were no mode. What happens if you see this? All right, watch this. What's the mode here? Right? Is it 2 or is it 5? Or is it no mode? Yeah, it's both. It's 2 and 5. Both 2 and 5 are the modes. Okay? Alright, just saying. Okay, alright. Hold on, let me pause. Now, what happens if there are like 2 1s? Right? Yep. It's 1, 2, and 5. Those are the modes. Okay? So let's be clear here. Let's say you only have this set, right? Let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is no mode because not a single value here has more occurrences than any other. However, here you have 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 5s. This is the mode. The mode is 1, 2, and 5. Okay, you see the difference? Here, nothing repeats. Here, 3 of the numbers repeated twice. So you gotta include all 3 numbers. Now, however, if you have an extra 1 here, now you got 3 1s. Now it's just 1. Right? Because there are 3 1s, there are 2 2s, and 2 5s. So obviously 1 has more occurrences than any other. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so press pause right now and calculate the mode or find the mode, and that's it. So press pause right now. Okay, here we go. Here's the answers. All right. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the, let me see if I'm still recording. Yep, okay, let's go on to the next page. All right, now you have to find the range. Now, be careful with these negative numbers, okay? Because remember, right, the larger, like look at negative 22.5 or negative 23. That's all the way out here. And this is the order, right? Now, technically speaking, you're finding the range. You don't have to line the numbers up from least to greatest. You just need to identify the largest number and the smallest number. So watch this. I think the largest positive number is 17 and the smallest negative number is negative 23. Now watch this. That means you need to have 17 minus negative 23. Do you guys understand that, right? So remember, this is why we have to do integers last week first, right? So be careful there, okay? Let's see, what else do I have to tell you? Nothing. Okay, all right. Press pause right now, and yep, press pause right now. Okay, so here are the answers. Yep, I was right. 40, right? 40. Okay. So here's the answer key. So check your answers. Okay, all right. Now let's see what's on the next page. Okay, all right. More practice. So this is the point where if you want more practice, you can practice. Are there answers here? Nope. Okay, all right. So you're just gonna practice on your own. All right. I think you have enough skills to do that. All right. So range, median, mode, and mean. Do that for both of these. So if you want to practice with these right now, press pause. Okay, and I'm gonna show you the next page. Now here in this last page, I want to show you what would happen if you have a very large number of numbers that you would have to calculate. All right, because that's something that you're gonna encounter probably not only in the 7th grade but also the 9th grade, somewhat. So yeah, go ahead, try this. All right, press pause. If not, then I'm going to stop the video right here today. All right, yeah, not bad, 28 minutes. All right, so press pause right now to try this again. All right, I don't have the answer key for you. All right, I think you have enough skills at this point to get this correctly. So, yep, do that, and that'll be it. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I will see you guys in the next and last installment. Thank you. Bye-bye.
OMG, that was so good.